Hey guys, Christian with OPH Outdoors, and we are going to start doing something a little bit new. We've been having a lot of requests, and I've seen a lot of people lately talk about not knowing what baits to throw when, and not knowing the best baits to throw and how to throw them. So, and also setups to use for certain baits. So today we are going to start something new. We're going to call it Tackle Tip Tuesday. Every Tuesday we're going to come out with our favorite techniques for certain times of year. So like right now is midsummer. So right now I'm gonna show you guys how I throw, what I throw it on, and just different techniques and tips and tricks for throwing this type of bait throughout the summer. So we'll do one each Tuesday. So let's get into it. All right, guys. So today my bait that I'm going to show you guys and show different ways on how to throw it is going to be probably my most favorite bait to throw, and that is a Ned rig. First off, there's two different kinds of hooks that you can throw Ned rigs on. Right here's both of them. They're both Z-Mans. They're both I believe 1/5 ounce, maybe 1/6 ounce, but yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it. They're just straight shank hooks with a mushroom head on it, and this one right here is just a straight shank. This one right here has a weed guard. Pretty much the only two that you're going to be throwing with a Ned rig most of the time. Other companies may be coming out with different types of hooks, but for now, just because I found the most reliable is to be these Z-Man ones. So yeah, there's both the different types of hooks. There's the straight shank and the weedless. Just a tip on different types of situations to throw it. Most of the time, I'm throwing a Ned rig on a straight shank. I'm not worrying about a weedless. Personally, I just think the weedless one is becomes a pain, and it gets in the way of when you're trying to set the hook. To me, with that extra bar on it or the extra little piece of cable on it, whenever you go and try to set the hook on a fish, that's going to get in the way before the hook gets on the fish. So your hookup ratio is going to go down compared to if you use a straight shank without the weed guard on it. So I just most of the time use a straight shank, no weed guard, like seen right here. Alright guys, next we are going to talk about the different types of baits that you can throw on a Ned rig. I'll be honest, most of the time, unless I'm actually throwing in a tournament, I just use half Senkos. I take, most of the time I'm taking Yum Dinger Senkos, and I'll just fold it over, cut it in half, and use that as a bait. That's if I'm fishing any ponds, if I'm just going out fishing for fun, or if I'm going and having other people do it. It's cheap. If I have people that don't know how to fish much, or that don't fish too much and just want to catch fish, I'll throw that, because if they get hung up or if they lose it, they're real cheap to replace compared to these Z-Man, the tough baits, or the finesse TRDs. They're a little bit more expensive. 8 of them are $5 or around there. So it's just a lot cheaper for me to most of the time to use the half Senkos. To me, I don't get much of a performance issue out of them, like a change in performance compared to these, but that's just what I do. But my favorites to throw right now are these Z-Man TRD finesse baits. I'm probably going to start throwing some of those Guggen rattling Neds on it, just test them out, see how they are, and I'll do a review on those. I'm not going to say go use those ones, because I've never used them. I just can't say that without trying them yet. But from the other Guggen baits I've tried, they seem to be pretty good, so I'm guessing that the rattling Ned's not going to be bad. So that's most of the time what I'm throwing. They also just came out with a finesse TRD creature bait. Z-Man did at iCast. So I'm looking forward to throwing those, because I love throwing creature baits. I love throwing Ned rigs. So those are going to work well together, I think. So I'll probably be throwing those a lot. Another thing that they throw is they have like crawdad imitations, so crawl imitations, and they also just came out with a Mondo Ned rig. So you can also throw like a 4 or 5 inch Senko on this. Other than that, I can't think of anything else I would throw. So just a straight finesse worm, a Senko type bait, the finesse TRDs, or the rattling Ned. Those are most of the time the baits I'm going to be throwing on a Ned rig. So let's get into the tackle I use for it. So right here is my Ned rig rod. I've got a Shimano Noski 2500. I've got, I believe, 15-pound braid tied to a 8-pound fluorocarbon leader of Super Sniper fluorocarbon. and I am throwing this on a G Loomis E6X. It is a 822S DSR. It is actually a drop shot rod. I bought this, was going to use it for drop shot, and I ended up deciding I like the flimsy tip on it for Ned rigs, because with these hooks, they're not the toughest hooks. If you get a big fish on it, they might bend it out. So I like having the extra tip on that rod, or have it being extra. I just don't like it being stiff, because that'll create issues with bending out hooks on big fish. So I've got that E6X 822 DSR. Great rod, super sensitive setup. I love this setup for Ned rigs. It's super light. I could throw this thing all day. This is my go-to bait. So other than that, I've just got that setup that I just talked about on here. It's kind of all eaten up, so I probably should change it out. But yeah, this is the type of setup I would recommend. I'd recommend a medium light type spinning rod with a 2500 size spinning reel, and either just straight 6-pound fluorocarbon, or if you don't do that, I would throw 15-pound braid to 8-pound fluorocarbon leader. Just since you have that leader on there, it kind of connects better to a 15-pound braid. So anyways, let's get into the different techniques of fishing these. Alright guys, just so you know, I'm not on a lake. I am on a local, or it's a farm pond, kind of the size of a lake. So I consider it a lake just because of how big it is. It's probably about a 10-15 acre pond. So yeah, let's get into this. So pretty much what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna cast it out. I'll give it a few seconds to sink down to the ground. A lot of the time, I like throwing it close to structure, but I don't like throwing it in structure, just because how it has that straight shank hook. So you're gonna get stuck a lot if you throw it actually into structure, but I'll throw it right on the edge of structure to try to draw out those fish to come out and eat the Ned rig. So it's always my go-to bait. If you can't catch fish on any other bait, then I would definitely start throwing a Ned rig, and you may be able to get some or find some fish, because most of the time they're gonna like that finesse, small presentation, and Ned rigs most of the time are gonna do pretty well. So yeah, I'll like work the edge of the weed line or work the edge of the bank. I'll sit parallel to it, and I'll find structure, and I'll just cast over somewhat near the structure. So, I mean, that's pretty much the only type of application I do. A lot of the times, if I'm on a bank or a lake with a big drop-off, I'll find that drop-off on my fish finders. So I'll just find the drop-off either on my mapping, or just as I'm going across the lake, I'll find where that drop-off is, and I'll fish, or I'll cast on the deep side of the drop-off, and I'll just work the Ned rig up the drop-off. Certain ways that I actually fish this is you can either let it go down, and you can just slowly work it across the bottom, just slowly reel it across the bottom. That works well, except if you have a weedy bottom, you're gonna get caught up in the weeds. So if you have a rock bottom, I would definitely throw it that way. It can work really well. You can get a lot of fish that way. If you aren't wanting to drag it across the bottom, you can either fish it like a Texas rig and just kind of slowly just jig it up a little bit, and just like a football head jig, just slowly jig it. You can even just do something like you can pop it a few times. So I kind of mix between all those depending on how the bite is. If I'm not getting a bite on one way, I'll just start fishing it another way and see if I can get a bite that way. And yeah, that's pretty much the only ways that I fish it. I just kind of do my own cadence and everything with the bait to try to mix it up, see what all fish is wanting to bite on. If they're not biting one way, they might be biting another, just the way that you present the bait to them. So that's just my 2 cents about how this bait works and what the best ways are to fish it. I've been fishing it 2 to 3 years now pretty regularly, because like I said, it is my favorite bait to throw. So yeah, that's all my tips and tricks and everything about how to fish the Ned rig, and let's just get into some fishing with it and see if we can catch some fish with them. First fish. Better than the one that you've caught. This one feels better. All right. Second one. All right, guys. Caught a few fish. One misconception I started to think of is a lot of people think that Ned rigs only catch small fish, and that is not the case. If you look back at some of my videos, I've caught I'm not sure about if I have them on video or not, but I've caught multiple 3 and 4 pound bass on Ned rigs. I had a 3 pound smallmouth on a Ned rig here this last week, and it got off, and it broke off. So Ned rig don't just catch small fish. They catch all types of fish, all sizes of fish. It's a really good finesse tactic to do. Like I said, my go-to tactic. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. We will be coming out with another Tackle Tip Tuesday next Tuesday. And be prepared for that. Be prepared for other types of fishing that we're going to be doing later this week. We might try to get to some local lakes here mid this week and maybe fish a few tournaments. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you on the next episode.